Assessments have a number of requirements that need to be met in order for them to meet the principles of assessment and for them to fairly assess your students. Now, these are just some of the requirements that your assessments may need to have within them in order to be effective. Now, our first one, obviously, is the evidence that we are actually measuring or collecting. What is it that we are actually assessing specifically? So, and if an assessment doesn't have this information in it, it's clearly an incomplete, inefficient assessment that needs to be worked on considerably by the developers and the trainers. It may include the actual assessment tools and instruments that are going to be used. So by assessment tools and instruments, we mean the document that perhaps may be used to check off and use as part of the assessment process to assess the student. It could be, things like the exam paper itself, or the checklist that an observer would use when they're observing a particular demonstration of student skills, for example. We then have maybe physical resources that might be required. It could be equipment that's necessary. It could be instructions for the assessor and for the trainer and for the candidate. It may also be any regulatory or legislative requirements. It could be safety procedures or considerations that need to be followed while the assessment's being carried out. And it could also mean things like to what standard language literacy and numeracy and so on need to be covered off as we're going through the assessment. So basically what we're saying here is when you're going to start building and constructing an assessment itself, one of the tendencies is that we go straight into writing the exam questions or creating the scenario or building the practical stage under which the assessment's going to be conducted. Whereas actually there is this whole process we need to do at the beginning where we're drawing up the guidelines and the criteria and the administration that needs to be in place to create fair and full assessments.